Welcome back to my channel, Hidden Points. Today we're exploring the fascinating psychology of the collector. This isn't just about someone who likes to keep souvenirs. It's about a person whose entire inner world is shaped by patterns, memory, emotion, and meaning. It's a story about finding order in a chaotic world. Imagine a child in a dusty attic stumbling upon a box of old coins. They feel a rush of curiosity, joy, and wonder. In that single moment, the act of gathering these small, forgotten objects gives their mind a sense of order and focus. The world around them might be loud and unpredictable, but in the quiet ritual of collecting, the child feels safe, understood, and even powerful. This often starts in early life, where control and stability were hard to find. Objects become anchors. Think of a teenager carefully cataloging their books, records, or trinkets. With each item placed in its precise spot, they feel a surge of satisfaction. In that simple act, the collector experiences a sense of mastery and calmness that the outside world often fails to provide. Now, picture an adult whose apartment is filled with objects that might seem random to an outsider. Yet for them, each item carries a story, a memory, an emotional weight. If something goes missing, they feel a genuine sense of anxiety or emptiness because the system that organizes their inner world has been disrupted. This shows us that collecting is rarely a superficial hobby. It's a deeply emotional, cognitive, and relational process. The collector learns early on that the world may not always provide security. People can be unreliable, and emotions can be overwhelming. But objects become trusted companions, silent witnesses, and constant stable reminders of the self. They don't change, they don't leave, they are simply there. Imagine someone traveling across countries, searching for one rare coin, one specific first edition book. When they finally find it, the thrill isn't just about ownership. It's a profound connection to history, to human creativity, and to themselves. In that moment of discovery, the collector experiences joy, insight, and validation all at once. Or picture someone who spends hours organizing their collection. Not for display, but for the quiet, emotional satisfaction of knowing exactly where everything is. In doing so, they achieve a state of flow, a deep concentration, and inner peace that they might not find anywhere else. This process also trains the mind to notice incredible detail. A collector develops a keen eye for subtle differences in color, shape, texture, and meaning. Picture the person who spots a tiny, almost invisible imperfection on a vintage coin. For them, it's not a flaw, it's a source of excitement and curiosity. That tiny detail connects them to a specific moment in history, a story, a shared human experience. This is why collectors often feel such an intense attachment to their objects. Each one represents a piece of a story, a memory, or an aspect of their identity that cannot be replicated. Remember being a child and finding a forgotten toy in a drawer? That wave of nostalgia, safety, and connection you felt? That toy represented a time when you felt loved and cared for. For an adult collector, that feeling is magnified. They might buy secondhand items, not for their monetary value, but for the hidden history they carry. In doing so, they feel like they're part of a narrative that's much larger than themselves, a continuous thread running through time. At its core, the psychology of the collector is deeply connected to control and predictability. The act of gathering, ordering, and categorizing objects provides a sense of mastery over one's environment and emotional world. Imagine facing chaos at work or at home, and then finding immense relief in arranging a collection where everything is precise, familiar, and safe. For some, this can become excessive, where the collection becomes the primary source of emotional regulation and identity. Objects can represent the security, love, and connection that people or circumstances failed to provide. Think of a teenager who keeps old letters, notes, or drawings. These items capture moments of trust and affirmation that they might not feel in their daily life. In adulthood, this pattern can continue as a powerful mechanism to cope with emotional uncertainty. Someone might spend hours tracing the history of each item, researching its origin and story, and in that process, feel a deep sense of belonging and control that they may have never felt in their childhood. This dedication cultivates incredible focus. Imagine someone who can spend hours curating a stamp collection or organizing vintage postcards. In that process, they feel calm, purposeful, and in control. For some, the collection even becomes a form of communication. When words fail, objects can convey history, meaning, and personal identity to others without a single syllable spoken. And of course, collecting builds an intense memory. Each object is linked to a rich web of emotional and factual information. A collector can often recall exactly where each piece came from, the story behind it, and why it matters. This recall provides a sense of competence and stability that can be hard to find in other areas of life. Unfortunately, collectors are often misunderstood. Outsiders might see only clutter or obsession, but in reality, it's a complex emotional and symbolic system that regulates a person's inner world. That's why an adult might feel genuine panic or sadness if an object is lost or damaged. That object holds a psychological significance that goes far beyond its material value. For someone who inherited a set of heirlooms, these objects represent a profound connection to their ancestors and family history, carrying stories and continuity across generations. In this way, the psychology of the collector intersects with our narrative identity, the way we construct meaning for our lives over time. It also reflects a deep desire for permanence in a world that is constantly changing. A collector creates a small, private universe where order, control, and meaning are preserved. This universe brings comfort and a sense of identity that can transcend everyday chaos. When facing personal trauma or emotional upheaval, a collection can become a stable anchor, a place to see and touch reminders that continuity is possible. For many, organizing their collection is a meditative practice, allowing them to process emotions and gain perspective on life. Fundamentally, collecting is a search for meaning, stability, connection, and control. Sometimes, these collections are kept secret because the attachment is so intimate that it becomes a private ritual. Through this ritual, the collector feels understood, validated, and safe. This deep emotional investment also drives an incredible thirst for knowledge. A collector often develops an expert-level understanding of their chosen field. Imagine someone explaining the origin of a rare artifact, their face lit with a pride and fulfillment that few can understand because it's tied so directly to their personal and emotional history, and they are not always alone. Collectors often form communities, sharing knowledge and stories. This validates their emotional and cognitive investments and provides a powerful sense of belonging. In the end, the psychology of the collector teaches us about the universal human desire for order, meaning, and security. It shows us the intricate ways we use objects to process memory, trauma, joy, and identity. Behind every collection is a person seeking stability and connection in an unpredictable world. They aren't just accumulating things, they are building a universe of meaning. The act of collecting is both emotional therapy and an intellectual pursuit. And when we understand this, we see that collectors are not merely obsessive, but individuals deeply attuned to the subtleties of memory, emotion, and human experience. Their inner world is rich, complex, and profoundly organized. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the human mind. See you next time.